Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Let's start with Kiss El Paso. That's a radio station website. It's not a dating website. What do you think I'm doing down here in the basement? I'm just recording a comedy podcast. I'm not up to anything. The headline is comedian Tom Segura secretly Austin's Lady Bird Lake killer? I'm going to guess no, but I'll indulge Kiss El Paso and see what's happening here. Kiss El Paso writes, TikTok, well, there you go, has once again become the breeding ground for wild theories and eyebrow-raising speculations. This time, TikTok is abuzz with a jaw-dropping claim. Comedian Tom Segura is allegedly a serial killer operating around Lady Bird Lake in Austin, Texas. I'm being handed a note by the lawyer. Please be sure to make it clear Tom Segura is not a serial killer, and this is just a bit. Okay, got it. Kiss El Paso, not a dating website, writes, the theory seems to have started with a TikTok video analyzing Tom Segura's comedy specials taking place in Austin, specifically after he moved there in late 2021. The video pointed out his frequent references to dark humor and murder. Some of the supposed evidence. Since Segura moved to Austin, 12 men have gone missing around Lady Bird Lake. The theory suggests that Tom Segura's move and the timeline of these disappearances are too coincidental to ignore. They also claim Segura's show sales have been declining and the number of listeners to his podcast have decreased. I'm not familiar with that being a story, and I study this pretty closely. Observers have noted that Tom Segura appears visibly frustrated and angry in his podcast episodes, which some interpret as signs of deeper issues. That's it. That's all the alleged evidence. We'll keep a close eye on that story. Meanwhile, Kevin Hart is still feuding with Michael Jordan and says, I could care less. Kevin's been talking about Michael Jordan during his current tour and says, Michael's had an attitude with me for years because I hosted a celebrity event for him and he came in late. I saw him coming in late and I hit him with a joke. It was quick. It was all in fun. I don't know where it came from. I hit him with a quick one. I'm 45 years old. It's not about the progression of life. You get to the point where little things don't matter. I'm not the same person I once was. Now, it's unclear when the charity event took place, but in 2016, Kevin Hart told Jimmy Kimmel what the joke was, which is, what age do you get where it's okay to wear your pants that high and nobody addresses it? He compared Michael's outfit to a pregnant lesbian. Over the weekend, Kevin defended himself, telling his fans he believes Michael Jordan is a horrible dresser and wears some of the worst jeans I've seen in my life. He went on to joke that Michael Jordan has huge back pockets that can fit a Dell computer on one side and a modem in the other pocket. That is funny. The podcast is about to get a little naughty here as we quote Kevin Hart, and there's another naughty story later, so if you have kids with you, maybe stop listening, okay? Adults, you still here? Kevin told a story about when he had to buy penis pills following an injury he sustained last year that caused his penis to look like a thumb, and he couldn't move his legs. Kevin joked that the gas station where he went to buy the pills would run out of stock because one guy buys them all and stores them in his back pocket. The joke, I said there's only one back pocket big enough to fit that many penis pills, Michael Jordan. Michael Penis Pill Jordan. He then said Michael will kill him when he hears the joke. Kevin also made fun of Michael's kids and said, if you ever told me I could get Michael Jordan DNA off the street, I would pay top dollar for it. Shoot it in my son's butt immediately and go say, all right, go do a layup, jump, let me see something. If you don't think Michael Jordan thinks about it every time he sees Del Curry on the sideline celebrating with Steph Curry, Michael got to look down the couch at Marcus and Jeffrey. Look at you two. Just sitting here, all cuddled up with different colored Jordan combinations every day, you two pieces of bleep. Now, despite the hilarity, Michael Jordan's son Marcus recently tweeted that Kevin Hart is a hilarious man after attending one of Kevin Hart's shows. Marcus tweeted, at Kevin Hart for real, the hilarious man has a new joke about my brother and Michael. Go watch that. Kevin is continuing the tour until December. A friend of the show, Jason Zinneman in the New York Times, wrote about Joe Rogan's comedy special. I addressed the special yesterday. I thought it was a big bag of okay. Zinneman writes, there's one question you don't hear investigated on the Joe Rogan podcast, one relevant to his success, but taboo in certain precincts of the comedy world. Is Joe Rogan good at stand-up comedy? That can be a dangerous one for some comics to touch on because Rogan has become a powerful gatekeeper, the owner of a club in Austin, Texas, and a host who drives viewers to specials and movies. Whereas he performs patient thoughtfulness in his podcasts, his stand-up is frantic, animated, full of unmodulated yelling. His eyes pop out and his face reddens. Midway through Burn the Boats, a jagged line of perspiration forms on his tight yellow shirt, making him look like Charlie Brown on steroids. Yeah, he had a bad sweat stain there, bad shirt choice. I didn't think Joe looked good. Thought he looked a little old. Zinnemann writes, his jokes rely on the most well-worn of stand-up subjects, pat-downs at the airport. When it comes to sex, men, have you heard, are different than women. The variation with Rogan is additional sentence mocking the straw man of those who think the differences are purely cultural. His joke constructions are also familiar. The things you think but don't do, the words you can't say. He leans into stereotypes that have cracked up drunken club crowds for generations. When he discovers a genetic test that he has some African ancestry, you know a joke about penis size is on its way. I wrote that in the Facebook comments, so that was one of the jokes you could see coming. It was borderline hacky. Not only will nothing he say here get him in real trouble, but it bonds him to his audience, who are told repeatedly that critics are humorless and the media is unfair, deceptive, and weird. While his stand-up here is cliche, his podcast is not. Rogan is interested in ideas on his podcast, whereas in his new special, he prefers playing dumb. Good stuff. That's Jason Zinnemann in the New York Times. 7 Days Vermont spoke to Ariel Elias. Any article about Ariel has to mention the shot seen round the internet during her set at a New Jersey comedy club, Uncle Vinny's, in 2022. She incurred the wrath of a Donald Trump supporter. A woman can be heard heckling Elias in the video, yelling out, "I could tell by your jokes you voted for Biden." Elias fires back, "I can tell by the fact that you're still talking when no one wants you to that you voted for Trump." A few seconds later, the heckler's husband hurled a nearly full can of beer at the comedian. Ariel says, "Look, I'd much rather have gone viral for a well-crafted joke than having a beer thrown at me. I don't do a ton of political comedy, so I think it may have given people a different idea of the kind of comic I am. But at the end of the day, the goal is to have eyes on you, gain followers, and sell tickets, so I'm grateful, even if it was vaguely traumatic." She was recording a new set in Burlington, Vermont, and says, "After the CrowdStrike stuff, I might choose all my taping locations based on whether or not I can drive to the venue. It's my first special, so I'm not sure what the process is supposed to be like, but I'm pretty sure what comes next is an editing process where I stare at myself and try not to critique my voice and my whole body endlessly, then start to beg everyone I know with a podcast to have me on to promote it, followed by asking my manager 1,000 times a day what I'm doing wrong." She plans to shop the special to streaming services and networks. If that doesn't work, she'll upload it to YouTube. But says there's no doubt that the market is crazy oversaturated now. That's an understatement. Having a special isn't the big thing it used to be. You're not looking for it to change your life as a comedian. And here's another naughty section. You're not still listening with the kids, are you? Are you watching the Olympics? Did you see the French pole vaulter? Did you see what happened here? In case you missed it, there was a French pole vaulter, and he's going over the pole. And then, you know what knocked the pole over? His penis. Yes, this is a thing that happened. Watch the clip on the internet. Gotta admit, it's pretty funny. Sorry, Olympian who trained all that, but you probably suddenly have a lot more fans on social media than you would have had you won the gold. You know what I'm saying? Nudge, nudge. Some of the headlines covering this. The Daily Beast went with Olympic pole vaulter loses thanks to battle with his bulge. Well done. Out magazine said this Olympic pole vaulter's own huge pole got in his way and cost him a medal. Metro.co.uk went right at it with pole vaulter's Olympic dream shattered by his own penis. If you need some stuff to listen to other than this, of course, Patton Oswalt is the guest on Neil Brennan's Blocks. I enjoyed that a lot. Marc Maron dusted off a Bob Newhart interview that I thought was really interesting. And at one point during it, I forgot that Bob passed away. Bob was talking about doing some more acting. I was like, oh, I'd like to see. Oh, that's right. That's not going to happen. Pretty Good, Not Bad, written by and starring Ellen Toland. Going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival previews at the Tank in New York City tonight and tomorrow. And from Missing Perspectives, the next wave of Australian female comedians have crossed the pond. I didn't know you could cross the pond from Australia to London. I'm thinking of the world map there. Isn't that 2 ponds? No, I guess not. I guess you could fly up to Asia and stay landline. Maybe that's 1 pond. I don't know. I usually associate that phrase with the Atlantic Ocean. I digress. Some of the up-and-coming comedians are Shayer Ganglani, Freddie Arthur, and Laura Rose. What got them into comedy in the first place? Freddie said, I was very lonely, so I started going on dates. People were always telling me I was funny, but this one guy kept telling me I should actually be a comedian. I'd grown up hearing that women aren't funny, so I didn't even consider it, but then he took me on a surprise date to a comedy show, and I remember thinking, yeah, maybe I could do this. We didn't see each other for long because he ended up sleeping with 4 other people and then realizing he was still in love with a woman he hadn't seen in 10 years. But I kept going to stand-up comedy because most open mic nights are free and was still very poor. Shayer said, growing up, I realized that making people laugh was the best way to avoid getting grounded. But to be honest, the turning point kind of came when a white male comic mistook me for another woman on the brown women comedy lineup. I'd never done comedy before that, so I went to watch the show. Turns out nobody really looked like me. but I did end up writing a short set, doing as many open mics as I could find eventually. I ended up in the lineup for Brown Women Comedy, and now we're bringing it to Edinburgh. Laura Rose said, it took a worldwide pandemic and me turning 30 to look back and realize I wasn't getting any younger. I always had a career to fall back on, a loving husband, and well, with age, I started to stop caring what people thought, so I thought, F it. Shire said, when I first started, the comedy scene was like a boys' locker room, smelly and full of bad jokes, but things are changing. Female comedians are finally getting the recognition they deserve. It's no longer just about being funny for a woman, it's about being funny, period. But yeah, there's still a way to go. The Edinburgh Fringe continues until August 26th, and that is your comedy news for today. If you enjoy the program, tell a friend about it. They might like it too. If you would like this thing without commercials, link in the show notes. Meet you back here tomorrow.